compounded growth and decay. That means we're going to compound something, it's either going to increase or it's going to decrease. So let's see what we've got here. If $200 is placed in an account with a 3.2% interest rate compounded quarterly, if no additional deposits or withdrawals are made, when will the value of the account reach $700? Okay, so we've got a couple things that are important here. We know that $200 is placed in an account. We know the interest rate is 3.2%. I'm going to arrow that because that's an important piece there. That looks like a decimal, but it's actually a percent. And it's compounded quarterly. So you need to know that quarterly means 4 times in a year. Okay? Just like you get report cards 4 times in we have 4 quarters, let's put it that way. And when are you going to have a total of $700? So those are important pieces. So what we need to do is we need to remember the formula. So our final amount is going to be equal to our principal times 1, and in this case it is going up. An interest rate is compounded quarterly. You're going to start out at 2 and you want to end up at 7. So it's going to be plus the rate over the number of times something happens in a year, parenthesis, raised to that same number of times a year times the number of years. Okay, so now we have to fill in a couple things. We know that our P is what we started with, so that's going to be our $200. We know, though, that our A is equal to 700, so we're going to need that. Our interest rate is percent, but we need to change it to decimal. So the number that we're actually going to use in here is 0.032. What we're looking for is our T. That's how long we're looking for. Okay, so let's fill in the information that we have. 700 is equal to 200 plus times 1 plus, 0.032 all over 4 raised to the 4t power. There's a little bit of work that we can do in there that makes our life a little bit easier. And if we actually do this calculation right there on the calculator, it becomes 200 parentheses 1.008 raised to the 4t. That is a little bit nicer of a number to work with than the fraction, because I know you guys don't like the fraction. All right, let's solve up a little bit. So we know that this is multiplication. We're going to keep this piece all by itself for a second. I'm going to divide each side by 200. Divide each side by 200. If I go to my calculator and do the division, I'm going to get 700 divided by 200 is 3.5. That's not a bad number, so let's keep it. Is equal to, well, now we just have 1.008 raised to the 4t. I can drop my parenthesis at that time. Then what I'm going to do is, that looks crazy and I have an exponent. I'm going to put this into log form. So I'm going to say the log of 3.5 is equal to, but I have to remember the rules. And when I'm putting things into log format, this exponent comes down in front. So it's going to be 4t times the log of 1.008. Right, now I have a little bit more that I can do because we're solving for t. We're solving for t. So that means I can divide by 4. Well, let's not do it so complicated. Let's divide by log of 1.008 just to show you where it's coming from. I can actually divide by 4 log of 1.008. But let's get rid of log first just to show you what's happening. In the log of 1.008, I do get a big number, and this is where I tell people to leave it on your calculator. All right, so I'm going to do the log of, and there's my log button, simply 3.5, divided by the log of 1.008, parenthesis, and I'm going to hit enter. And I get this long number. Okay, so I could write it down here for us, and I'll do that just so that you have it. It's 157.2209, and so forth. That's going to equal 14. I'm going to divide everything by 4, but on my calculator, I'm just going to say here, divide by 4. When I divide by 4, yeah, I do get another long number that is actually, but that's coming close to our answer. It's going to be 39.9 0.305. Let's see, so it's asking us about how many years is it going to be until we, let's see, when will the value of the account be 700? Well, it's not going to be at 39 years, so it's going to be, T is going to be approximately 40 years. Because at the end of that 39, we're not going to have a total of 700. We're going to be a little short. Now, if you wanted to go back and you wanted to do your log of 3.5 is divided by 4 log 1.008, you're going to come right up with that answer there. So just remember, you can divide by this and this at the same time. Right? So